Welcome in to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. I'm your host, Zach Simmons. Here's my co-host, Daniel Jones, aka DJ. DJ, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. How about you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm feeling great. We are back again today with episode 13. Up to 13. We are here
14.
Man, I just can't keep track. We're just climbing the episodes.
I literally told you.
Well, sometimes I don't listen. We are joined with our special guest today. Josh is here with us today to talk some Premier League. Josh, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Got a solid prediction going up. Based it off of the podcast. It's feelings over facts here, and that's what I'm going to roll with.
Oh, God.
No, nothing factual, actual coming through these.
It's going to be on a t-shirt one day for us.
Today. Yes,
Nothing factual,
exactly. Actual. For sure. The Feelings Over Facts t-shirt line is going to be releasing here soon. Heads up for that. Today we are going through as the Premier League starts this weekend here in 2 days. Actually, it starts with Manchester City versus Burnley, Pep versus his protege, Vincent Kompany. So we thought we would go ahead and take a break from our NFL division previews to do our table prediction for the Premier League. And we thought, who else but Josh, our Premier League expert, special guest to bring on this week?
One of them.
Yes.
I'm not going to give him just...
That's a bold claim to make.
Yes. This is our third special Premier League special guest we've had on so far, DJ.
This is factual.
Yeah. All right. So, a few things up off the top. Make sure you head over to the Feelings Over Facts YouTube and subscribe and like. We are currently at, I think I checked before this, we're at 51 subscribers. I think it's possible we could hit 75 before the end of August, DJ. I think that's not far out there. I think that we could do it. And head over to the Feelings Over Facts pod, Instagram and TikTok, and give us a follow on there. We post a lot of fun shorts and clips from our podcast, so give us a like on that as well. All right, let's get into the table prediction. We're going to go reverse this week. I think we're going to go reverse. We're going to do 20 all the way to the top, number 1. So let's go ahead and kick it off with number 20. DJ, I'll let you go first. Who do you have at number 20?
Well, I'm sure this is going to be a huge shock. So I definitely think that Man City is going to be 20th. I'm kidding now. It's Luton Town. it's Luton Town. Newly promoted Luton Town. Great story. Coming from the fifth tier of English football all the way back up, after going from the top all the way back down. But based on their signings this year and how the team is looking, I just don't see a whole lot there, personally. So I think this one is going to be a very easily consensus-liked one by everybody, where everybody's going to kind of agree that, okay, well, I don't see much there. They could be fun, good story, but that's all I see.
Yeah. I also have Luton Town at 20. An absolutely unbelievable story, the run that they have had. I think that it could be a little bit unfortunate that they made it to the Premier League this fast. I think that sometimes we see teams and stories like this where they make it up to the top flight a little bit too soon without having the time and the financials to kind of build their club up a little bit to do well in the Premier League. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Luton. So I think that Luton is in 20 for me. Josh, who do you have at 20?
I have Pep's disciple, Burnley, Vincent Company,
Ooh,
20. You know,
dang,
when
coming
it
in
comes
last.
to newly promoted teams, there is a stigma where they stay bottom table. They either get relegated or they just narrowly avoid it. And I feel it in my gut that Burnley is going back down.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I have Burnley a little bit higher up. I won't say where, but I don't know. Vincent Company looks like he might know what he's doing. A little bit harsh having them down in 20, I think.
Guilty until proven innocent for these
Yeah.
newly promoted teams.
That's fair. That's a good point.
That being said, I do have Luton a little bit higher than both of you guys.
Okay.
Hold a
Fair
second.
enough.
I thought it was
Higher.
innocent until proven guilty. So you just turned an old saying around just to
Flipped it
make
around.
it fit for Burnley.
You gotta flip it around. You gotta fit the
What's
narrative.
what's wrong with Turf Moor, man? It's a great place, a
You have
fortress.
to flip the narrative to match your points, to match your final piece. You flip the narrative.
That you did.
Yeah. You did do that. DJ, who you have at 19?
So, based on a lot of this one's, I definitely think this team's now a yo-yo club because of the moves they have made, getting rid of their best player, and then probably getting rid of their second player yesterday or last night or whenever you want to call it, Sander Burge. I'm going with Sheffield United. This team, I don't see why they're kind of just selling off their best young talent. Now,
Yeah.
would it have made a big difference coming into the Prem? I don't think so. I think they would have been in a relegation fight regardless. But I don't see how this team's going to stay up. I think this is going to be another up and down for the Blades. I could be completely wrong because if their first year they came back, they came up to the Prem a couple years ago. They got 7th, which was insane.
Pretty good.
I don't foresee that happening this year.
No.
Personally.
No, I don't either. I actually have them in my 18th spot, Sheffield. So just one ahead of you. This is looking like one of those classic yo-yo situations that you were talking about. They come up to the Premier League, grab some money, sell some players, get as much money as they can, and then they just kind of pop right back down to the Championship. It's looking like it's going to be one of those years for Sheffield. They are pretty, if you look at the Championship stats from last year, they are a pretty good defensive team. They aim to kind of just a little bit similar to Everton, kind of just lock it down in the back. They play some counterattack soccer, and they try their best to win games like 1-0 is what they aim to do. I don't think they're going to be having the attacking threat to be super successful in the Premier League. So I have them at 18. My 19th spot may be surprising to some, but I have the Wolverhampton Wolves in number 19.
Wolverhampton
Wanderers?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
they're
Ted Lasso
Wolverhampton
moment.
Wolves
No.
in my mind.
No.
Ted Lasso moment right there.
Yeah, big Ted Lasso moment. You plastic football fan, you.
Nope. They're Wolverhampton Wolves to me,
Oh my god.
forever and always. I have them at number 19. And this drop from the Premier League for the Wolves is going to be a little surprising because they have been in the Premier League for so long now at this point. They came up a good bit ago and they've held on. But I think that the moment is just come for Wolves. They haven't really brought anyone in. They, surprisingly, besides Neves, haven't really sold anyone. Which
Didn't they get
Neves
rid
was,
of Jimenez?
They got rid of
Raul, yeah. But
Yeah,
it was
that's
for like
one of
a
their main strikers.
very small fee for him because he's a little bit past it at this moment.
Right. I mean, he hasn't been the same since he had that head injury.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly. But they just have nothing quality going forward in the attack. I think that is my theme with my 3 bottom teams, Sheffield, Wolves, and Luton. All 3 of them are just in the Premier League going to have so much trouble scoring goals. And I think that if you're going to stay up in the Premier League, it's less important to be good defensively. Extremely important that you score goals. And Wolves, I think we've seen for a few years, they just struggle to attack. They're one of the worst teams in the attacking numbers year after year. So I've got the Wolves in 19th getting relegated. Josh, who do you have at 19?
I have Sheffield United.
Okay. You and DJ
You know,
agreeing at 19.
One of the few things DJ and I will agree on, most likely.
See, here's the thing, and to kind of go on top of what Zach was saying about Sheffield before he went on his Wolves point.
Wolverhampton Wolves.
Shush.
Okay.
Stop. Sheffield, that the whole defensive thing, strat when winning games by grit and bare knuckle kind of football here, as they call it over the pond. We call it soccer. They did that last time they're in the Prem, and it didn't work. So why do it again? It's not going to work. So, and then to top of your Wolves thing, they've only made 3 transfers into their team this year. One guy named Tom King, who I have no idea who he is. Matt Doherty.
I forgot about Doherty. That's a pretty good.
Doherty is like their one guy. It's like, okay, and then they brought in
need defenders. They were fine in defense.
A lot of that has to do with their goalkeeper, I will say. Jose Sa had covered a lot of their basically he saved their butts the entire year.
Yeah,
I would say. So I don't hate putting them in the relegation spot. I don't have them there, but I just wanted to go back on that real quick.
Fair enough. Josh, did you want to talk a little bit about why you have Sheffield in 19th?
I mean, you guys have covered a lot of the talking points already on that one.
It kind of speaks for itself.
I haven't really, watched Sheffield United play too much.
Come on, man. You're not a Sheffield aficionado.
Not a championship type of guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not a championship type of guy.
Not a Blades fan. Come on, the Blades. That's what they call them. The Blades.
So Sheffield was my 18, and that's why I talked about them when DJ mentioned them. Y'all, I don't think have said your 18. DJ.
Josh, go ahead. Josh, go first.
Or Josh.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Just based on last season's performance, I feel like when they're missing one of their key players, this team absolutely crumbles down. You can talk about who the key player is if you guys want, but I have Everton in 18th place getting relegated. They've struggled. I think they're going to continue to struggle. It's just not Premier League time for Everton anymore. They need to get a good session in the championship, get some rebuilding going, get some good structure. Then I think they can make a comeback and, maybe be a mid-table team again.
That team would be destroyed financially if they went down. Like, we're talking about not on the pitch, just financials, team-wise. They won't be able to afford their new stadium. They would be screwed. So, coming from I'm like just looking on the outside here. Not an Everton fan. Don't really give a crap about Everton. They're it's a fun fan base to keep up with. But man, that would just hurt hard. They would be in so much trouble.
Yeah. But
yep, Everton down at 18 for you. I do have them a little bit higher. DJ, who do you have at 18?
So, talking about teams that have been in the Prem a while, when you say Wolves, I have a team that is I have them going down after having a pretty long stint in the Prem, and I have Crystal Palace. Main reasons: if they lose Elise, I don't feel great about that. All they'll have is pretty much Eze in the middle. But what I really don't like is I don't like any of their attackers. This team is not capable of scoring as of right now. Personally, I don't see where their goal contributions are going to come from. You lost Zaha. Now some people in this group chat, in our group chat of we talk soccer, some people feel a type of way about Zaha, but you can't deny that he's a polarizing figure in some way, and he's at least a threat. You lost that threat, and if you lose Elise to City, which I have not heard anything about in the last week, if he's still going or not.
Yeah, I think that kind of lost some steam. I think he's probably staying. Which
that will help, but I still don't like Crystal Palace. Like, I don't see them staying up. I don't like it. They only made 3 transfers in this summer window. I don't really. I mean, I know one of them, Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth, but besides that, this team is kind of in limbo, and I feel like they're kind of just hanging on by a thread, in my opinion. I could definitely see them being one of those teams that goes down this year.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know. I may have a surprising take on Crystal Palace. We'll hold off on that for a little bit.
Got it. You got them going to European football.
Now that would be a bold claim. I do
That
have
would be.
Palace
Yeah.
higher than where you have them, though. I do have Palace a little bit higher.
Yeah, me too. 17. I'll go ahead and go with my 17. So those are our relegation teams that we have this season. Our 18, 19, 20. I had Luton, Wolves, Sheffield. DJ had Luton, Sheffield, Crystal Palace. Josh had Burnley, Sheffield,
Everton.
Yes, I almost went a perfect 9 for 9 there. Remembering those. So yeah, there's a relegation. 17. I have Bournemouth at 17. Surviving relegation, another season. I think that would be. I think that they would call that a dub. I think that they would be happy about that at Bournemouth. I don't think that me having them at 17 is honestly that surprising. I think that's about spot on. Battling relegation for most of the season, again being a poor defensive team. Solanke trying to carry them offensively along with Billing. So Bournemouth at 17. I think I don't really see a world where they're not in the bottom 5. If they were like any higher than like 15, I would be surprised. This is one of the teams that I feel pretty consistent putting them in the bottom relegation battle is Bournemouth.
I mean, I could see
We all
it.
have at 17.
I also have Bournemouth.
Got Bournemouth at 17. There we
Yep,
go.
haven't seen much improvement. Haven't really kept up with any of their incomings or outgoings. As all I can see, it's just a mediocre team, not really showing too much promise in the Premier League. I think it might be time for them to, grab it by the bootstraps or whatever the saying is to just narrowly avoid relegation.
Yeah, they're going to be one of those teams that I feel is battling some of the previous teams that we mentioned to stay alive near the end of the season. DJ, you don't look too happy with our us both being down on Bournemouth, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not upset about it. But you're not going to like where I have them at, so we'll get to that later.
Okay,
European
I'm excited to
football.
see it.
European football.
No,
Dominic Solanke, Champions League striker.
I do have him in fantasy, so maybe my feelings are getting in my way. That's not why I put them up
Hey,
there, though.
Feelings over facts.
So 17, and I'm shocked that neither of y'all have this based on our conversations about this team and how little they have done and everybody they've lost. And that's West Ham.
Ooh.
You lose Declan Rice, which we all knew was going to happen. You still keep David Moyes as your manager, which I don't understand either, because I definitely think he gets let go probably after the first 2 months. That's my guess. Maybe even after a month. If they start off really bad, and don't get me wrong, like, yeah, he won the Conference League last year, yippee-ki-yay, woohoo, like, all right. Like, you played awful last year. Your team struggled until the end of the year, and then that's when you went on this great run for Conference League. But
yeah,
man,
they not being in European football is going to help them, maybe.
They are in European football.
Oh, that's right, because they won it.
Yeah, they're in Europa. That's why I think they're going to do. That's why I think they're going to do.
You stay in it.
Yeah, they're going
dang.
to. That's why I have them 17. They have not brought anybody in. They're gonna have all this match
a little bit here.
They're gonna. You can. It's fine. I'm telling you, like, I'm not feeling great about this team. You lost some Skamaka, who you brought in for like a year and he didn't do anything. It looks like you're losing Paqueta. You don't want to lose him, or you don't want to sell him, but it looks like he's gone. All you brought in was this Donnie named Sean Moore, who I've never heard of before in my life either. He came in from Cliftonville. Don't know where that is. So, like, I don't know how anybody could feel great in East London, which is ironic because it's West Ham.
Right.
Is it-
So
Actually, no, it's South London. Sorry, South London.
I do have West Ham a little bit higher than where you had them, DJ. Be honest with you. I know they're going to struggle. They're losing out on Rice now. Obviously, they need to find some way to use those funds to, maybe bring in a player before the deadline day's over.
Mhm.
Maybe. And, potentially 2 players from Manchester United, Maguire and Scott McTominay.
And I will say also, the website I have pulled up doesn't have him, but they did get a James Ward-Prowse. That is one good pickup. I'll say that.
We're
So,
proud
sorry.
signed with them
Continue.
today.
So,
Josh.
a good midfielder coming in. I still think they will struggle in the Premier League, especially, playing in the Europa League. They're going to struggle. I don't think they really have the depth they need to do well in both competitions. And by well, I mean being a mid-table team in the Prem, and then maybe, round of 16, maybe luckily group stages in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
West Ham,
I'm interested to see their
they
group,
didn't.
too.
That's true.
It'll be
They
it might be a tough
looked-
group for 'em.
They looked real rough at the end of last year. So I think it's a little bit. You have them a little bit lower than me, just because I do think that even though they did look kind of form wise, they are not looking good with selling some of their good players. But I still think they do have quite a bit more talent than some of those bottom.
Who's
those
their
bottom
striker, though?
teams.
Is Antonio? For what?
It's
10
going to
games
be
this, for 10 games this year because he's
Ings
going
and
to get hurt.
Antonio are probably going to rotate up there. They have a young striker named Mubamba, who I do quite like. Was looking very good in the preseason. So probably a rotation of those 3.
I'm
But,
interested to see.
I mean, if they do keep Paqueta, him and Bowen are pretty decent Premier League attacking options.
Yeah,
I'm-
Bowen is a
I'm-
great asset.
I'm interested to see if they actually use Maxwell Cornet this year too, because they got him from Burnley. I thought he was really good at Burnley, and then he got
He
hurt
was.
last year. And I kind of forget he's on their team, but I think I like him. And they still have Suchek too, along with
That right
mean-
back they have.
Who's a right back?
Emerson, Kufal.
Kufal. Yeah, Kufal.
Kufal's pretty good. Yeah.
And the
right.
cat legend himself, Kurt Zuma.
Oh yeah. Zoom Meister. All right,
so-
so
I had West Ham higher than DJ, I think.
okay.
So were we on 16 or were we on
Yes.
17?
That was 7. Me and you had 17 Bournemouth, so we're on 16
Yep.
now.
16 for me. Wait, are we? No, because we were talking about DJ's turn. Zach, do you want to take 16?
Sure. I have Forest at 16. Kind of in a similar vein as Bournemouth. I think that they're in that realm of good enough to not get relegated, but certainly not good enough to finish any higher than around the 14, 15, 16, 17 range. I'm a big fan of A1E. I think that he is a pretty good striker, especially for a team like Forest. Brennan Johnson is looking like he's going to stay. I think that's big for them. He's one of their best attackers going forward. They do lose Navas, who was very instrumental to them staying up last season. So that could hurt, but they are looking like they are going to bring in
It's
Matt
confirmed already.
Turner. It's confirmed. You heard it here first, folks. They're bringing in Matt Turner. He won't be Keylor Navas, I don't think, but he's a pretty suitable keeper, I think. I mean, he was on Arsenal for a reason. So not a whole lot to say about Forest. I got him at 16. I feel like that's a pretty good place for him.
I feel like you're forgetting one of their biggest signings. And Josh should be insulted. Alenga. I like the Alenga signing for them. I think he's actually going to do something there.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it like a big signing just because he's not like an amazing
For them,
player.
it
But
is
I
a
guess
big
for
signing.
them, it's a pretty good.
He is an electric winger. Fantastic. He will do well. Am I sad he left United? Absolutely. Well, I think it will do him really well to play on a team that needs a winger
Mm-hmm.
who can play.
Do him well
consistent.
to play. He wasn't going to
Right.
play a lot at United.
He's not gonna play at United. At least not at his current level. You know, if he gets some more years, maybe he comes back. Maybe, probably not.
We'll see how he
Pretty good
does.
signing for them.
Also, you can't forget about the best
for me.
can't forget about the best target man in the business, Chris Wood.
He's with them now.
Yeah,
He was with them last year.
He
and
was,
they have
but-
Dennis still. They have some pretty decent attacking options. Yeah, they
I
still have
think they-
Emmanuel Dennis.
I think they got rid of him.
No, you're joking.
I just saw Dennis on someone else's team.
Ferociously googling right now.
I'm looking at the squad
Ferociously.
right now.
He's still
Ferocious.
there.
I saw something that said that he went somewhere else.
Unless that happened like today in the last like hour, then I think he's still there.
I do not see it listed on their squad right now. Wait,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a Bonaventure Dennis Bonaventure.
That's not him.
I mean,
I'm in
you're also forgetting about
I'm
Morgan
in
Gibbs
shambles right now.
Wait, what'd you say, Josh?
Morgan
Oh,
Gibbs
you're
White.
right.
Oh, Morgan gets White.
He's their. He's becoming their like talisman at this point. He's a great player. He
Yeah,
takes their
he's-
pins, plays primarily the cam role, distributes. Yeah, great player for them. I think that they have enough talent to stay above the relegation zone and finish above Bournemouth for me. So that's my 16. Who y'all got?
I'll go. I have Wolves here. So kind of the reason why I have them higher than you is because I do think that their defense is good and it will keep them up. Barely, but it's going to be, they're going to be clinching this whole year. Like as a fan, you're going to be like worried because, oh God, like you're going to be struggling. But I do think that they stay up. I think they survive the drop personally.
Gotcha. All right. So, we talk about fantastic stories. We talk about, newly promoted teams. I said guilty until proven innocent. This is an exception. I love the story. Luton Town, 16th place.
Dude,
Scraping by for a single season in the Premier League. Do I have any reason to believe
That would
this?
be
Absolutely
amazing.
not. But I feel it. I love the train.
yeah.
Yes.
Imagine they don't even have a stadium really suitable for the Premier League to start the season, and then they end up not getting relegated. That would be great. I'm looking at the sports books; they're like minus 200 right now to get relegated. Like, more likely than not. So if they do finish 16, unbelievable call by you, Josh.
I will say last year the sports books had Brentford like 19th, like spot on. Like that they expected them to be 19th. So like I'm going to say that the sports books don't actually know because putting Brentford down there last year was ridiculous anyway. I was like, wait, what? So
yeah, so that's really some of the American ones. They're kind of off sometimes. I'll go ahead and go with my 15. This is where I put Fulham here at 15. This is assuming that Mitrovic is done. In my opinion, I think that they could finish a little bit higher if he stays, just because they will have a better goal threat. I honestly don't love the Raul Jimenez signing for them. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I guess they're going to do kind of a rotation of him and Carlos Vinicius up there at striker. I think Raul is kind of a little bit past his prime at this point, as we mentioned earlier. So I don't see them having a lot of goal threat. They do still have Andreas Pereira, who I think is a unbelievable talent. He's extremely good. Harry Wilson is going to be – he was out for a lot last year, who will be fully fit for the entirety of this season, presumably. So your classic middle-of-the-road to lower half type of team. I think they're going to lose a lot of games that they maybe should win. I think they're going to lose a lot of games. They're going to win a lot of games. Not win a lot. They're going to win a few games that they probably should have lost. Fulham at 15 for me feels about right.
I do have them a little bit higher still. Just a little bit.
Fair enough. I mean, Mitro could stay, but he did come out and say that he was not ever playing for Fulham again. So, we'll see what that means.
one of the reasons why I didn't take him in
Interpret
fantasy.
that how you will.
That's one of the main reasons why I didn't take him.
Seems pretty cut and dry to me. DJ,
It's hard to get 15. I have Everton. And the reason why I have Everton is because in talking to our good friend Eric, who has also been on the podcast, they are making some signings that makes me think that they actually are going to be able to survive this year. I'm interested to see how Danjuma plays this year there too. I think he's got talent, and he didn't get a chance at
Spurs.
Tottenham last year. Yeah.
Tottenham.
So also hearing from Eric, they are close to getting a young striker that's at PSG. And I can't remember his name, but they're like on loan.
Ekitike?
It's Ekitike,
Yes,
yes.
that's him.
That's it.
Hmm.
They are heavily like trying to get him from what Eric was telling me, and I like that move. I think it's a solid pickup for them, and they kind of need a exciting young striker to kind of help, I think, boost that offense up. And I think if they get him, I feel a little bit better about this. Maybe they even finish a little higher, but I have them at 15 because that's where I have them comfortably being. Their team's going to be looking a little bit different, but I mean, they're not anywhere close to getting up higher than that, in my opinion, as of right now.
I do think if they do get Ekitike, that'll give them a really good chance, especially with, their striker now who's injury prone, Calvert-Lewin. I feel like he hits a good vein of form and then something just hits him. Maybe it's a fashion show. I don't know. He trips on the runway. If he were entirely
He's
healthy,
not injury
and they
prone. He's
also
just injury
bring in-
imminent.
Yes, it will happen. If they had a healthy Calvert-Lewin and then they bring in Ekitike, that would be really good for them. Keep them out of relegation zone at that point. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with where I have them at 18, so I don't think it's going to happen still.
Yeah. Who you have at 15?
15, West Ham.
West Ham.
West Ham.
Hammers. Guess we kind of touched on the Hammers earlier.
We did.
Anything to
brought
add
up
to
their-
that, or
Yes. This is contingent on a couple of things, right?
Okay.
If they get Maguire and if they get McTominay, I think I don't like Maguire, as a United player. Don't like him at all. But I do think he can be a quality defender, and I think he'll be good enough to, keep them, relatively safe from relegation. But they're going to struggle regardless, because obviously, 2 competitions, they don't really have the squad depth. They lost Rice, their key midfielder. They're looking at replacing him with McTominay.
yeah,
It's a bit of a downgrade.
for sure. Yeah, I don't see them doing too much better than this. Almost to where I have them. Yeah, pretty spot on for West Ham. 14. DJ, who you got 14?
14, I have Burnley. This is my team to stay up and to do pretty decently, in my opinion. I like Vincent Kompany. I like his tactics. I like how he has kind of where he has put Burnley at as a team, and I think he's going to continue that in the Premier League. Do I expect them to do anything like outstanding? Not necessarily, but what I do like is they actually they're bringing in people and they're trying. Like, it looks like they're going to do something with this chance, and it's not like how I don't feel the same about Burnley like I do with Sheffield United or Luton Town.
Yeah.
I see the talent, I see the potential, and I think people want to go play for Vincent Kompany, which is hard to say when you're at Burnley. Burnley's not the most exciting place in the United Kingdom. So I like the moves, and I think this team has the best shot to stay up. Maybe I have them a little higher, but I believe in what Kompany's doing there. So
I have him at 14 as well.
Hey!
You're spot on there, man. Josh shaking his head at us. He's like, I don't see it. I think that with Burnley, I think it's coming in with kind of the similar energy that Fulham was coming in with last year. They tore through the championship. They won it by like a country mile. Whenever we see from a championship team, whenever they tear through the championship and then they come into the league and they're buying players, and combined with having a manager that it seems like the team really believes in, that's a kind of a recipe for success. And that's why I have them here up at 14 for Burnley.
I might be harsh on Burnley, but I do think they probably won't get relegated. I'll be honest.
We convinced you.
Won't. I wouldn't say you convinced me, but
he already had
sounds
that
like
notion
you
in his
convinced
head. He just didn't want to admit it.
yeah. I had him at 20, and I wanted to stick with 20.
It's a former City player
Okay.
as a manager. What did you expect from a United fan? I mean, come on now.
Yeah,
He's going to hate it as much as he can.
That's a really good point.
Don't
Josh, did
act
you-
all innocent, Josh. We all know it.
All right, number 14,
I was gonna say, who you got?
Forest.
Okay.
I think they're going to narrowly avoid relegation. I'm thinking like, the 17, 16, 15, 14 range. It's going to be a super, super close battle. I think a lot of these teams here contending for relegation, scraping by each match, just looking for a single point.
Yeah,
That's how I view that half of this table here. I don't think any team is necessarily going to be doing any better than another team. I think it's really just going to be a matter of who sucks the least.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Forest look pretty decent coming into this year. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't hate them putting them at 14.
I do because I have them at 13.
Okay, dude, we're killing the segues.
I think I like what Forest looks like. The only thing I don't like is their goalkeeper, and even with Matt Turner, I still don't like it. Like, I think he's all right, but sorry if that makes me un-American, but like I don't have a whole lot of faith of him being able to do it week in and week out on the Premier League level. Personally, I haven't seen it yet, so that's why. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we've already talked about them quite a bit. I have West Ham at 13. So a little bit higher than y'all. I think that this is purely just, I still think they do have a good bit of attacking talent left on their roster. I mean, we've seen Antonio be successful in this league. We've seen Danny Ings be successful in this league. Jared Bowen. Paqueta's being heavily trying to be bought by Manchester City. So obviously they know he's a pretty good attacker. I think that they will struggle defensively, and that's why I do have them on the bottom half of the table. And Moyes is just looking like an absolute question mark at manager, to say the least. So I got West Ham that is my 13 for me. Josh, you're 13.
I got your favorite team here, Zach.
Oh, no.
The Wolverhampton Wolves.
Wolverhampton Wolves, baby. Yeah.
I do think they're going to survive relegation. I do like their defense. I do think that they need somebody who can, really step up this season. I think Wolves are a very, they're a gritty team. They're not going to give up easy points as much as people would think.
Yeah.
By no means are they a great team. Will they succeed? Not really. But I do think they will fight, and I think that fight might be enough to keep them.
If they do have a
slightly
strong
out.
spot, it's their defense. They can put together some gritty wins just because they are a pretty sound defensive team. They have some good defenders. I'm so low just because I don't think they're going to score goals, to be honest.
Right.
So that is our 13. We're flying. DJ, we're flying through a list here. Number 12. This is where I have Crystal Palace is at 12. Pretty much kind of near the middle of the road team. I do like Roy as a manager. I think that even with a below average kind of talent pool of a team, they can still put together some wins. Eze is looking like he could transition into their Zaha type of player, their talisman kind of figure on that team. Because I think he does have the strong ability going forward to put the ball in the net. And underrated center back pairing, Anderson and Guehi. Very good Premier League center back pairing. And I think that holding it down in the middle of your defense is really important in the Premier League because there are a lot of good talent in the midfield. This is where, so I feel like 12 feels about right for Crystal Palace for me.
I had them a little bit higher. Be honest, I do. I think they have some key players who will do a little well.
I have them relegated.
Yeah, we have a good spread for Crystal Palace. We have a good spread for Palace here, guys. Be honest.
Yeah, we are all over the place with them. I mean, they are kind of a question mark. I honestly put them at 12 just because I didn't really know where to put them, if I'm being honest. Who do y'all have at 12?
Well, I'll go here, DJ. we talked about them already. Fulham. I believe in the American dream. Will they score a lot of goals? No. But will Jedi Robinson, if you didn't know he got his name Jedi because he loves Star Wars or something,
Something like that.
something like that. Then you have Tim Ream. If he was 10 years younger, he'd be playing for Pep Guardiola at Man City.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what Pep said. Pep said that.
Did he actually say that?
Yes,
That was
yes, he
last
did.
year, yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that quote. That's hilarious.
Yep.
The American Dream, Tim Ream.
Yeah, the American dream,
Hey,
Tim Ream, baby.
he's no pushover in the defense. He's a quality defender.
He's not bad.
He's coming off a major injury though, and he's 36.
Yeah.
So you have him at 12, Josh. Is this?
I do.
Do you think you? I'm guessing you think Mitrovic is probably gone.
I think Mitrovic is gone. I do think that. With a healthy Wilson, I think that they can do decent enough to not be really worried for relegation. Creeping in, being a more solid mid-table team. I just don't know if they have enough to really make it any higher than 12. He was one of their main reasons. Obviously Mitrovic is a championship legend, but Harry Wilson was one of the reasons why they got out of the championship.
Yeah,
That's true. Former Liverpool
he
Academy.
was outstanding in the championship. The
Right.
year that they got promoted.
And it was very sad to see him get injured early on last season. So I think, if he remains healthy, I think he can be a really good player to keep a lookout for.
Yeah,
this season.
totally agree.
I don't hate that shout.
DJ,
My 12.
have you said you're 12? No, you haven't.
Not
All right, let's
yet.
hear it.
So, you remember when I talked about Bournemouth? I have them 12.
Yes.
That's 5 spots up from 17.
Yep.
I believe that Bournemouth will catch people off guard again because people kind of disrespect Bournemouth because they don't expect them to be as good as they are. And I think that's going to happen this year again. I like their attack and I like their wingers, and I think that's going to come a long way. And their defense isn't great, but I think it's serviceable enough to keep them in this cluster of teams that are very close to each other. What Josh was saying earlier is there's a bunch of teams that are kind of in, with Forest. There's a bunch of teams that are kind of toggling back and forth, and I think Bournemouth is one of them. And I think it's between 17 and 12 area is where a lot of that up and down motion on the table is going to happen. And I see this happening with Bournemouth, but I think Bournemouth is going to come out on top. I think Bournemouth is good enough to beat some of these other teams that are doing the same, and I think they're better than most of the teams that will have lower personally. So that's why I got them at 12.
Yeah, fair shout. They do have a one of those teams with a high deviation. I think that they could overperform and be up here at 12. They could underperform and be around about 17 where me and Josh have them. So that's fair. 11, I have the Brentford Bees at 11.
Smart man.
Yeah. You have them 11 too?
I sure do. I do think,
yeah.
I'm sure you might mention this as well, but I'm pretty sure David Raya is gone.
Yep.
So they brought in that other goalkeeper from Freiburg, I believe.
Yes.
Flecken.
Yes.
Stay
What
with the most
in the Flecken?
Nice.
Yeah. So I think that's. I'm glad you mentioned that because people think that Ivan Toney was their best player last year. No, David Raya was the best player on Brentford. He was absolutely outstanding. He was the rock of their defense. I think that they're really going to miss him. And I watched a few preseason games of Brentford. Flecken, not that great. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So I think that they could struggle defensively, and I think they could struggle offensively without Ivan Toney being there for so long, because he is a degenerate, apparently.
He does
He
does the same thing that you do on weekends, except you're in the state of Florida, so you can't do it anymore.
It happens. I'm with you, Ivan. So not having him, I think, is obviously going to hurt, as he is their best goal scorer. I think without having him, with missing David Raya, being just right in the middle feels about Brentford's spot, as me and Josh think. Who do you have at 11, DJ?
I have their West London rival Fulham.
Fulham. Yep.
You know, I'll respect that from DJ. I'll respect it.
I don't know I don't think anybody knows what's happening to Mitro, and it'd be sad to see him go because he had a breakout year last
He
year.
literally said, "I'm never playing for Fulham again."
It doesn't mean he can't change his mind. That's all I'm saying. Not saying it's likely. I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. Sometimes people throw a hissy fit just to get what they want. Maybe he wants more money. I don't know.
Yeah.
He did have his breakout year last year, so if he wants to make a move, this is the time to do it. I still like the whole. Yes, without having a top quality striker, they're going to struggle a little bit. I still think that this team is built pretty well. You and Eric talked about it. Their goalkeeper is statistically one of the best last year, and I think he's going to continue that with Leno.
Yeah.
So I think that his defense is still solid. Josh was saying it earlier too with the American Dream, Tim Ream, and Jedi Robinson. They also brought in a center back from Ajax too, which I don't hate that move either. Calvin Bassey, I think is his name. Yes, Calvin Bassey. I don't know how much he'll play, but I don't know if Tim Ream's fit. Did he play anything in the preseason? I didn't pay attention to if he did or not.
He is currently injured. I don't think he's going to start at the beginning of the season.
So Bassey's probably starting. So
yeah,
they have a young guy they just brought in, maybe has some potential. So I don't hate for where Fulham's at. I do think they're missing that striker, but I mean they did bring in Raul Jimenez, who is a proven striker, but we will see. I still like them enough to keep them above the little bit of the cluster on the bottom part of the table.
Yeah, I totally get that. I just wanted to add some more points to Brentford at 11 real quick.
Go for it, man.
You know, Ivan Toney's out for a few months here. He comes back in. I think he will pick up the pace again. You know, he's going to be one of the key reasons. That's why I think they will succeed later on in the second half of the season. But this first half, I think it's going to be Josh De Silva's time. I think he's going to do really well. You know, watched a couple of his preseason games. He scored a really nice goal recently.
Yeah. He hit an absolute worldie in preseason.
Mm-hmm. And then I think probably their best
fellow
defender.
Josh.
Yeah, we gotta love a Josh. I think their best defender, Ben Mee.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he is one who will die for the badge. Whether I agree to die for a Brentford badge, probably not. But Ben Mee, he puts it all on the line, 110% every game I see him play.
Yep. Holds it down at the center back position for them. Him and Pinnock, pretty good center back tandem there.
And I love Aaron Hickey. Right back.
Yep. Him and who's the left back? Henry.
Let's say it. Pretty sure he's on your team. Rico Henry. He
is. Yep, on my FPL team. So Brentford at 11.
I'll continue with Josh. Brentford because they're my 10. So
all right, let's hear it.
Great transition.
You talked about what De Silva? Is that what you're saying? I think it's going to be Wisa. I think Wisa's going to have a good start to the season. It's going to be him and Mbeumo. They're going to have to carry that offense, and I think they can do it together. They're not going to have the same quality of finishing that Tony has, but I think they're going to be good enough to keep this team competitive until Tony does come back, and then the three of them together will be very, very fun to watch and very dangerous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Should be a pretty decent attack until Tony comes back, and then they could be in form and flying, and then he just comes right back in, and they continue that, and they could have a great second half of the season. I don't know.
I don't mind their back line. I just don't trust their goalkeeper. Like I don't trust Tekken Flecken. Like I don't trust him at all.
Yeah.
Right.
He's looked a little shaky in the preseason.
He has.
My 10 is I think probably my hottest take on my list. As you probably have not heard me say them yet, I have Everton at 10. Yeah, I mean, if you watch them at the end of last year under Deitch, the 4-4 for Akin 2 was balling. They were so hard to score on in the second half of the season last year, packing it in with Tarkowski back there, Keane. They were looking very strong defensively, and I think that they're kind of similar to Sheffield, could win a lot of 1-0 games where they eke out a counterattacking goal and they just hold it in until the end. And eke out some draws and some wins, and I think that they could put together quite a good season. I love the way that they finished at the end of last year. I think if DCL can stay healthy, which is probably the biggest if in history, then they could have a decent attack. Him and Danjuma playing the 10. You have Dwight McNeil on the wing, who I think is underrated, and could be a slightly decent attack combined with a team that I think is looking good on defense. I've got Everton at 10. I don't think it's that out of the question.
I will say I think DCL could get benched though if they do bring Ateke in.
That's true.
But I don't hate that
True.
take. I don't hate the take.
Thank you. Who's your 10, Josh?
My 10. I believe you both placed them a little bit lower. I believe so. If I'm remembering correctly. I have Crystal Palace at 10.
DJ had him relegated, so yeah, he had a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
I had him at 12, so not that much lower.
Yeah, I think they will stay, a pretty successful mid-table team. Obviously they lost Zaha. That was their main threat. But as long as they have Elise and they have Eze, I feel like they have potential to do, mediocre for the, the table prediction. Nothing great, but I don't think they're not going to be a relegation team.
Yeah, fair point. Crystal Palace is probably the biggest question mark coming into this year. I feel like they could be good. Good not.
All I'm saying is I get massive Southampton vibes.
Southampton vibes?
From last year, I get massive Southampton vibes from Crystal Palace. That's the only reason why I have them on there.
Hey, you could be correct. All right, we're into the top 10 now. We are into the cream of the crop. All of these teams from 9 to 1, all of them in my 9 to 1, I have not heard y'all say. So I think that we actually all have the same 9 to 1. Actually, I don't think we have them in the same order, but we have the same teams, which is
do.
Yeah, for 100%. I think 9 to 1. These 9 teams, it can't really be argued that they're better than the other 11. Number 9, I do have Brighton. This
Same.
is where you have Brighton 9, Josh.
Yep.
Nope.
I have them a little bit higher.
Okay, fair enough.
Not by much.
I don't hate it. Yeah, just outside of Europe here for Brighton, just because they did lose a key piece in McAllister. He was a huge cog in their success last season. It looks looking like they could possibly lose Caicedo, who is a good part of their defense. But they did retain a lot of their talent still. They still have March, still have Matoma. They have 4 attacking spots, and they have like 10 good attackers. I don't even know if he's going to play that much, but I really like Enciso. I think he's a great player. Obviously, I'm a big Evan Ferguson fan. I think that he's a great talent, and he's going to be. They're a team that I think can still be successful while they're in Europe because they do have a lot of attacking rotation. But I think that losing a few of their big pieces is going to hurt them, even though De Zerbi is a great manager. So I have them at 9. DJ, you have them at 9 as well. You want to carry on to that?
I like how they finished last year. I think they did a good job of continuing to add some more pieces. I'm interested to see how Dahoud does over coming in from Dortmund, and I like the João Pedro pickup because I think João Pedro is good enough to play in the Premier League. Milner is an interesting veteran who can help solidify that midfield a little bit too. If they don't lose Caicedo, I like him staying at Brighton. I don't think it's a bad spot. It's probably not where he wants to be, but like your teams you're playing in Europe, the reason why I have them at 9th is because of their European football. I do think they're going to go for it in Europe, and it's going to cause a little bit of a drop in Premier League play. So that's why I have them 9th, kind of taking in for the match cluster.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
Some good points there. Josh, who you have at 9?
9, I have Crystal Palace. Maybe a hot take. Some people
What?
might put them a
I
little
thought
bit
you
higher.
just said Crystal Palace at 10.
No, sorry. Yeah, Newcastle United.
Okay, gotcha.
Newcastle. Those guys. I do think they showed
Newcastle at 9.
really good promise. Yeah, Newcastle at 9. I think similar situation to what you guys are talking about, going for European success. I think they're going to really focus in on the Champions League. And if they get relegated out of the Champions League or they lose out, it's not really a relegation. You're still playing European football in the Europa League.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go for that European success a lot more than they're going to focus on Premier League success. They're obviously going to do well enough to where they're still a top table team. top half of the table team. I just don't know really if they're going to be able to do both super, super well.
That's a good take. I like that. They haven't been in. Has Newcastle ever been in the Champions League? That's a good trivia question.
I'm sure they have. I just don't know.
They had Alan Shearer at one point, so I'm sure they were good enough to do that.
They were probably not in a long time. So it's very rare for them to be in Champions League. So they could be focusing heavily on that, and that could hurt them in the league. That's a
Oh, there he goes.
higher.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. I do have them higher than 9.
I do as well. So,
DJ, let's hear 8.
My 8 is the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Ooh.
New manager, maybe losing their big name striker. The more money Bayern throws at him, the more I think it's going to happen because Levy loves to see dollar signs. I like some of their signings so far this year, but I just think that it's just one of those years where you have to kind of get used to the new manager, his system, and I'm not even going to try. You can try if you want to. That's close. I like the James Maddison pickup. I think he's going to be solid. And if they do lose Kane, they do get Richarlison, who is a world-class scumbag in my opinion. But the guy can put goals and they can't put the ball in the back of the net.
Can he?
He can when he's not hurt.
When he's playing for Brazil, maybe. Spurs is kind of a.
He didn't play terrible last year, to be honest. So I don't hate. I think if he's called on to be the number one striker, he can do it, and he'll have more talent than he ever had at Watford or Everton.
Oh, he did prove he could be a really good goal scorer whenever he was at Everton. He did prove that.
He did, but and he took the backup role because I think that he wanted to get out of Everton because he thought they're going down. So he's going to give me to a top 6 team where I know I can at least play somewhat. Like I said, he's just a scumbag sometimes. So like it makes you. He sometimes takes away from his play with his actions on the field. Personally, that's what I think. But I think the Spurs have a little bit of a setback. I think if they do sell Kane, that's imminent to happen because you don't just lose goal contribution player like Kane and not expect to have a little bit of a tumble down a little bit. So I foresee that happening. I have them 8th. Even if Kane does stay, I do think that between 8 and 6 is where they are. So I feel pretty confident about 8th.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it.
Yeah, that's fair. I do have Aston Villa at 8. I think that this is going to be a very, very fun team this season with Diaby and Watkins up top. I think that they are going to be a heavy attacking team, and they brought in Pau Torres. I think that him and Diego Carlos with maybe Tyrone Mings as well on the defense. Matty Cash, Alex Moreno, they are a pretty good defensive team as well. I think that they are going to score a lot of goals. They're going to play good defense. Emery was having this team doing really well last season. I think that it's Aston Villa. I think that their floor is probably here around where I have them at 8. I think that I couldn't put them above a few of the other teams. I have them higher, but I think having them at 8 is not out of the question.
Don't forget about Yuri Tillemans too.
Yeah, that's a great pickup.
Good acquisition of him as well.
Josh,
who do you have as your 8?
My 8. I have Brighton.
All
I
right.
have Brighton. We already talked really about how Brighton's kind of structured right now. I think for me, it's going to be a flip-flop between Brighton and Newcastle. I think that either of them could go really either way for 9 or 8 for me. The problem that I have with Brighton, I think they're going to get knocked out of Europa League really quickly. And then I think they're going to focus... Well, they're going to have to focus on the Premier League at that point.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then when that happens, I think, the Evan Ferguson, that's the guy, the young striker. I feel like he's going to do really well this season. Obviously, they have Matoma. No, when Ciso left on loan somewhere.
Nope,
Is that
he's
right?
still there. Still there.
Which one? What's the like the Paraguayan kid?
Udav. He went on loan.
Undav is gone. Yes,
Yeah,
He went on
Undav is
loan.
gone, but he's not
he
Paraguayan.
went to the
Sarmiento?
No, he went to Stuttgart.
Sarmiento. Is that the guy?
Sarmiento. Yeah, he went on loan to West Brom.
Yes. I think even without, they're one of their many wonder kids of the, Latin American countries or South American countries, they're going to find another one. We're not going to know who he is. He's just going to show up for like 3 games and then be essential.
They're discovering people.
So that's why I have them, sitting kind of comfortably here at 8.
That's
Not
it.
even their scouting network, I believe.
Good spot for them.
They also just have a good tactical manager, which helps.
Yep. Is it Zed Derby?
Yep. Or Deserby. or whatever.
Derby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
D Zerby. Zay
Yeah.
Derby.
D-Zerby, Day-Zerby. We all Zerby.
DJ, who do you have at 7?
I have Villa here. I think they're going to continue their success that they had last year. Hope.
There he goes.
That's not great.
Come back.
Oh, no.
Zach, come back.
He's going to have a lot of editing to do.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. All right,
Laugh
hey,
at him. Laugh at him.
Zach, no matter what DJ says about you, I think you're a great person.
Thank you.
He
Appreciate
knows.
it.
He knows I haven't said anything bad about him. So all
We'll
right.
find out.
So 3, 2, 1. So talking about Villa is my 8 or 7. 7, isn't it? 7.
Yep.
I really like the moves they've made. I think that Emery, when he is given the chance and gets to bring his guys in, he can get a team to succeed. I mean, let's talk about how bad Villa were before he got there. Unai Emery literally took over a dumpster fire that Steven Gerrard started and has them in European football. So, and it's a big club that is not afraid to invest into their team, and I think they're going to continue to do that. And I think they've shown that they are willing to do that. I'm interested to see how Diaby plays. Are they still going to use Leon Bailey at all? Bundia, I'm excited to see. Ollie Watkins played really well last year at times.
Yeah, they have a lot of attacking options.
Their midfield is really fun. I like them. I like their midfield a lot, especially with the add, like we said earlier, the additions of Yuri Tillemans, and they have one of the best goalkeepers in the Prem in Martinez. So
Yep.
I think this team is set up for a good run in Europe and also in the Premier League because I think they have the depth with Konsa and Mings, just in case if for some reason Pau Torres or Diego Carlos ends up with a knock or something like that. And also I like Digne off the bench. I don't hate because I don't like him as a starter because he seems to get hurt every single time he's a starter. So Lucas Digne coming off the bench is not a bad shout either. So I like this Villa team a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of good points there. That's why I have them at 8. That was your 7, correct?
Yes.
Alrighty. I have at 7 a big bounce back for them. I have Chelsea here at 7. I think that I liked them a lot better whenever Nkunku was going to be there for the entire season, but very unfortunate. They've had some very bad injury luck this last year, and now again with their star transfer in getting injured, going to be out for 4 months of this season, which is a huge chunk of the season. Is very unfortunate. But I do think that having a full offseason and now being with Pochettino, that he could be getting the best out of Mudryk, who I think is a very talented winger, who we didn't get to see the best of last season. I think he could have a very good bounce back year. I think this could just be a good bounce back year in general for Chelsea. They're going to have Chilwell and Reece James healthy. They haven't had both of them healthy together in a hot minute, which is a very good left back, right back tandem.
Even if Chilwell's hurt, they still have Cucurella too. So
yep, exactly. Who is probably better defensively than Chilwell, but Chilwell's a little bit better attacking wise. I bounce back year in general for Chelsea. I like the Pochettino manager hire. Sterling could possibly do some things. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I got Chelsea at 7. I can't put them any lower than there with the talent that they have on their roster.
That's a fair point. Fair point. I think for 7 for me, I've got Spurs. And it's really all depending on if they can keep their main man Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I think if Harry Kane stays, I can see them going higher in the table. But if he's gone, there's absolutely no way they're sitting in top 4. They'd be lucky. Richarlison would have to literally come out and become the main man, which, I mean, he has it in his... He's shown that he can do that in the past. We talked about that. I just don't know if he will be able to become Tottenham's main man. Obviously, you still have Son. You have Kulusevski. Both are very exciting players to watch. Whenever they either play, centrally or out wide, both have really good talent, and I think that they can still, drag a team up to, a kind of like a top table placement.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead and talk about Spurs as well because I have them at 6. Having them at 6 is I'm kind of splitting the difference between if Kane leaves or if he stays. I think if he leaves, they could be down in the 7-8 range. If he 100% is staying and is bought in, they could be a Champions League contender. Honestly, they have that level of talent on the roster. Bringing in James Maddison to be feeding in Heung-min Son and Harry Kane is going to be an absolutely devastating attacking team with those three going forward, combined with Kulusevski, who has shown that he can be a very good attacking option as well. So I'm kind of splitting the difference, putting them here at 6. I think that they're probably more than likely going to be finishing in Champions League, honestly, if Harry Kane can stay. But it's looking like that's Bayern seems determined, honestly. They keep getting turned down and then they keep upping their bid. So it seems like Bayern is really determined to bring him in. I think that the deal's looking like it might get done, but Harry Kane said if the season starts and he still hasn't been bought yet, that he doesn't want to go anywhere. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I got Spurs at 6.
Fair.
I understand it. I have Chelsea at 6. So to kind of go on top of your point, I do think that they have too much talent, and I think Poch can get a lot out of his talent, probably more than any of the managers they've had there this whole last year. They struggled last year. A lot of injuries and a lot of just poor quality play. I think there's going to be a turnaround. This is what Chelsea does. They have like an off year, something happens, transfer ban, and then they are immediately back up in the top 4. I don't have them in the top 4, but I could definitely see it. They have the talent to do so. I'm interested to see how Nicholas Jackson does, one of their newest signings as well. I'm excited to see him. Once Nkunku comes back, whenever that is, I don't think they've announced when that would be. I'm a little bummed because I was excited to see him play. I've been, keeping up with him in the Bundesliga for a while, so I was excited to see him do it on the Premier League level. So I'm hoping he comes back sooner rather than later. But I have Chelsea at 6.
Yeah, it's a good spot for him.
It is a good spot for him. It's not my spot though. I have Aston Villa.
Okay.
Aston Villa. I'm really excited about Diaby. He was one of
He's absolutely electric.
He was one of Leverkusen's most influential figures on that team. Obviously, Leverkusen that year struggling with an injured Wirtz, so Diaby really had to step up. Wirtz came back later on in the season, but Diaby was that main man. Xabi Alonso's tactics. It'll be interesting to see, going from one Spanish manager to another Spanish manager.
Yeah.
Playing in the league, I do think Unai Emery, he got his man. That's the thing. He gets his man, and that player plays well. He doesn't just sign players for names. He looks at the talent, and I think that Diaby was a very serious pick for him.
Yeah.
And I think Diaby is not going to be good enough to carry that team. But, you talked about Ollie Watkins. You talked about, whether or not they play Leon Bailey. I think Leon Bailey and Diaby will end up playing really well together. They did it before at Leverkusen. I think they're going to pick it back up here in the Premier League.
I can see it.
Yeah. They're looking really like a really fun team. If I was rating these teams on like funness level, if funness was a word, then I would have Aston Villa probably up there at the top because they're looking like Ollie Watkins is rapid, but he's still not as fast as Diaby. So they're going to be extremely quick in the attack. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch them. Excited
It's
to
also
see
going to
them
be
play.
exciting first game where they play against Newcastle. It's two big opponents going head to head. Week
It's a
game
good
week one,
game to watch. Good game to watch.
big time.
Which, speaking of Newcastle, the
Segue.
segues. I have Newcastle at 5.
I don't hate it.
You said you're 6, didn't you, DJ? That's where
Yeah,
you
Chelsea.
had. That's where you had Chelsea. Okay, yeah, Newcastle at 5. Like we mentioned earlier, they have not been in the Champions League in a long time, and I think that they could be really focusing on that. They don't have a lot of depth in defense. They have a good defense, which Byrne, Botman, Schär, Trippier played nearly when they were healthy every single game last year. And they're really not going to be able to do that this season. They're going to have to be rotating a lot in league play whenever they're playing those guys in the Champions League. So I think that could potentially hurt them in the league, which is why I don't have them in the Champions League again. But they do have them at 5 so high up because they are extremely talented. And I do love the acquisition of Harvey Barnes. Him and Anthony Gordon. They're both left wingers is the only thing. They're both fantastic players, but they play the same position. So it's going to be interesting to see how they rotate them in and out. Isak and Wilson up top, 2 very quality goal scorers. Almiron can be the best player or the worst player in the league at any moment. So Newcastle are going to be a lot of fun this year. I have them at 5.
I also have them at 5. Talk about they did bring in some depth for their wing backs in Livramento, who I think is a good young, promising talent. I'm not saying he's amazing, but I think he just needs some time. And he was also at Southampton, so it's kind of hard to judge what he was doing on a level of quality because of who Southampton are. I also really like the Tonali pickup. That midfield is just nasty. Oh my goodness. Bruno G and Tonali. Good gracious. That might be one of the best pairings in the Premier League right now. And they haven't even played a minute yet. Just
You're also
on paper.
forgetting about Joelinton as well.
Joelinton too, yes, that's true. Joelinton is solid.
And Willock.
And Willock, yeah.
Yeah, they have some solid midfielders.
They do have a lot of depth.
But not in the defense. I mean, they have Livramento, but after him, I don't know if I can name another defender that's behind their starters.
Lascelles.
So, yeah.
You said name a
quality Lascelles minutes here.
You said name somebody. You said it had to be quality.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, point. Yeah, I mean, I got him at 5, so I'm right there with you. We it sounds like we have the same top 4, as we have made it to the top 4.
Not yet.
We have.
Not yet.
Oh wait, you have your 5. Yes, that's right.
My
oh wait, maybe we don't.
It's Chelsea.
Okay, yeah, we do have the same top
4. Yeah, we do. We have the same top 4. We have the same top 4. I like Chelsea coming back. I think it will be a really good bounce back year for them. Obviously, not to the position where they want to be, but I think going from 12th place to 5th place. I think Pochettino is a great manager. I do think he knows what it takes to bring out good potential in a lot of young players, and that's exactly what Chelsea's team is. It's a lot of young players. Obviously, of course, Nkunku's hurt right now. He's going to come back. Whether or not he remains healthy after he comes back, he might play another game and then get injured again. Like that's unfortunate for him. That's just how his track record has seemed to go. But Nico Jackson has been looking really good in preseason. I think that Pochettino is going to, to touch base on what DJ said, really bring out, or was it you, Zach, who said Pochettino and Mudryk? It was you. It was Zach.
Yeah, I said Mudryk.
Yep. Pochettino is going to do really good things with Mudryk. And I think it'll be exciting to actually see the talent that Mudryk is apparently worth $100 million for, or however much he was bought for.
Yeah, I think it was $100 million.
I do think they brought in the right manager to build up young talent. Because I mean, look what he did with Spurs, and where are Spurs at now? That core that he had almost won them a Premier League title, and the only reason why they didn't is because it's the best Cinderella story in all of sports with Leicester. I mean,
Leicester City.
It's unfortunate you're on that side of history, but someone's got to get second, someone's got to get first, and it was Leicester. And that team, that's one of the best stories, one of the best seasons in Premier League history, honestly, just because of the where they came from and how they were and their odds and everything like that. So,
yep.
I think he could do similar things to Chelsea. So I agree. I don't hate that at all. I mean, I have him one spot down from you. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just breaking into the top 4 is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
it's going to be tough
think-
this year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this top 4 is, I think, kind of just like the top 9 has kind of separated themselves. This top 4 is a little bit separated themselves from the
But
rest of the
Here's
rest
the
of the
thing.
league.
My 8 up to 1, I can see any of those being in Champions League. Tottenham, Villa, Chelsea, Newcastle. I can see them all being able to get up to the top 4. They have the talent, they have the quality. It's just you can't have that many teams in the top 4, obviously.
Right. Like you said, anybody from 8 to 1 could be Champions League contenders. It's really a toss up. I think obviously I'm pretty sure we might all have the same top 2. So number 1 place we already probably know who
I
that's.
don't think we have the same top 2.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay, I'll go ahead with my number 4. And that's Arsenal. So that's why we don't have the same top 2. So I mean, it's only they're projecting them to finish second, is what most projections I've seen. So I'm only 2 spots lower than what their projections are. So I don't think it's that hot of a take. I still have them in Champions League. I still have them beating teams like Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa. So I'm not that low on Arsenal. I just don't see them repeating the same extreme level defensively that they did last year. I mean, I like them bringing in Timber, but they were outstanding defensively last year, and that's what led to them being in first place for so long. And whenever we saw Saliba go down, their defense kind of shut off, and that's kind of what led to them losing the league inevitably. So I am sorry, DJ, but I don't see them finishing above the teams that I have in 1, 2, 3. Arsenal at 4 is where I've got them. So,
I'll let DJ think about his what his words are going to come out of his mouth. I'll let him wait for a second. Let me go. I'm going to preface this and say, this top 4 race here, it's going to be close. It's going to be a very close match,
For sure.
a very close race here. One team has had a really good history of succeeding, but not taking it for their own. I have Liverpool at number 4.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do better. I think with Darwin Nunez, he's had his first season. I think he will do really well now, coming in. Firmino's gone. I think he is going to have ample time to really take in that central spot if that's where Klopp is going to play him. They have a lot of depth. Obviously, people say he's the best defender in the world. I don't know if I'd agree with that, but Virgil van Dijk,
a lot of
he is a
people
great
believe that.
player. He's a great player and a great leader. Liverpool have what it takes to be, anywhere in this top 4 position, but I just have them finishing just short of my top 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think any of these top 4 could win the league. I don't think that's out of the question. Arsenal 100% could win the league. Man United could. So that's a really good point. DJ, who do you have it for?
I also have Liverpool. I agree with everything that Josh is saying. I like Gakpo too. I like Luis Diaz on the outside too. Mo Salah's Mo Salah. When he's Mo Salahing, it's hard to stop him.
Oh yeah.
So, but one of my favorite pickups was Dominic Szoboszlai. I think that he's going to fit in very well with this team. That's why I took him in FPL. I like him a lot. He also is going to take all their corners, so assists. There you go. Not that that's super important to what we're talking about right now, but I also like the McAllister pickup. I think that they did a good job of plugging in some of the holes they had last year. So this team seems dangerous. I feel like they had a bad year, even though I still think they finished, 5th last year?
5th place, yep.
Yeah, so I could see them easily making Champions League this year, and I think this team's going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I could see them finishing higher than 4th. Yes?
I was going to say, you hit right on my point. Since we're talking about Liverpool, I'll go ahead and say I have them at 2. and you nailed it right on the head by saying they're not in Champions League. And I think that's huge for a team that has as big of aspirations as Liverpool does. And I think that they're going to use those non-Champions League aspirations, and I think that they're going to try to contend to try to win the league. Honestly, I think that that's going to be that may be their sole main goal coming into this season. They want to beat Manchester City, win the Premier League. Obviously, I have them number 2. I don't think they're going to do it, but I think that they have the talent, obviously, to be able to contend with it. And Liverpool at 2 is I feel really good actually about having them there.
We've all said that so many times. Sorry, DJ. Let me just cut you off real quick. It's a toss-up for these top 4 positions, but I'm still not going to pretend that Liverpool is not playing European football.
They are playing.
They're still in the
European
Europa
football.
League.
Yes.
It's not the trophy that they're really looking for. Luckily, they were able to win the Champions League, a few years ago, so they're still looking pretty happy. But I think it would still be dumb for a team to not focus on European success. A lot of money's in that competition, maybe not as much as the Premier League.
I didn't say they weren't going to focus on it. I just think that they're going to focus more on winning the Premier League. I think that's their real. I think that they value that more than winning a non-Champions League European competition.
That does make sense. It does make sense, especially when you're looking at recent times. You look at teams who are considered rivals of each other. Way back, it was Man U and Liverpool, and I don't want to say it now, but honestly, Manchester City's not even a rival of United anymore. It is Liverpool and City, the teams who have had the most success in these recent seasons. Those two are, rival teams now.
Yeah, that's fair. Very good
Also,
point. So that was my
shout
number
out-
2. I
Well-
don't think we've done number 3s yet. Oh,
Well,
sorry.
hold
Go
on.
ahead,
Going
TJ.
back to Liverpool, I was just saying,
Yeah.
you also have to take into account that they have probably the best home field advantage or home pitch advantage in the Premier League at Anfield. It's not easy to go there and win. I think this team is, like I said, coming in with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to be primed and ready to go this year. I can see this team being very good. And I only have them at 4. Maybe I'm an idiot, but here we go.
I mean, if you're an idiot, I'm an idiot right there with you.
Yeah.
I would not call you an idiot for putting them at 4. I think, like I said, any of these top 4 can finish in any position. I wouldn't be surprised. So I had Arsenal 4. You guys both had Liverpool 4, right?
That's correct. But since we're talking about Arsenal, I have the number 3.
Okay.
Easily could win the league. Easily could not win the league. Not to, beat a broken horse or whatever the saying is. Broken drum, I don't know. But
Not to beat a dead horse.
That's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's the one.
Arsenal, I think, will do really well. It's going to be a point-based top 4.
Okay.
I think the main difference is, like you said, Zach, their defense can crumble when they lose their leadership in defense. That's one of the reasons, why they brought in Timber. I've watched several Ajax games. I think he's a great player. So I think that is a great pickup from Arteta.
Especially because they're coming into the season without Zinchenko, or Zinchenko's hurt coming into the year. So
right,
that's going to help.
Timber can play out wide. He can play central.
It's going to be
he's a good. Yeah, it's going to be Tierney.
Really?
Timber is more of a
100%.
right-footed player. Anyways, he wouldn't be the best left back.
I think we could potentially see Ben White over there.
He's staying at
and
right
see
back.
Timber at the right.
Who's going to play right back? I mean,
But
he could do
that's
that.
neither
but
here nor there.
I mean, you still have Tomiyasu as well.
True.
People
Yes.
don't seem to rate him as highly as I think they should. I think he's a great player.
He is a great
Is
player.
Is he Arsenal's best defender? No,
No.
of course not. But I think he's a very versatile defender. I'm pretty positive he would do well playing, out left or out right, or sticking down the middle. I think he's a good defender.
And this is the best center back pairing in the league. I will say that. Saliba, Gabriel, they are absolute rocks back there, and they shut down nearly every single attack last year.
Gabriel is nothing without Saliba, though.
But
Saliba
together,
goes,
they're absolutely outstanding.
if Saliba goes down again, though, we're in trouble. Even if Timber does come in, because for some reason Gabriel just loses his head and just makes just dumb decisions every time.
That's fair. I'm guessing you don't have Arsenal at 3, DJ?
No, I have Man United.
Okay.
Sorry, Josh. My main reason for this, I think that I like some of their pickups. Hoyland, I'm intrigued to see. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't watch a lot of Atalanta football, so I know who he is. I know that he can be a quality striker, but I want to see him do it on the Premier League level. So I'm not going to rate him just as highly just yet. I think he's got the best cast around him to put him in his successful spots with Rashford, and then I guess who's the other side? Not saying is it
Anthony.
Anthony? They have
Anthony, Sancho.
That's what I'm
Anthony
saying.
Sancho.
Well,
Listry.
that's why I was saying because it's like it could be a number of people. But I do think Rashford on the left side is spot on, especially after the year he had last year, and I think he's going to continue on that quality. What I'm really worried about is Onana. It's that good keeper. He has not looked great in the preseason. I don't love their defense all as one. I think there's too much rotation based on last year, and I think that's going to continue on the struggle this year. This is the reason why I don't have them at number 2, because I think that unlike City, Arsenal can beat Man United because we did last year. We split, but I think it's a very splittable 2 games again this year. I mean, how do you feel about this midfield with Mason Mount added to it, Josh? Do you feel good about it, or is it kind of...
We'll talk about Man United whenever I get to my pick.
I'll talk about it, DJ, because I also have them at 3. So I'm right. I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I mean, they're obviously they're loaded. They're loaded with talent. All of these top 4 teams are, and we saw it last year with Rashford that at any moment he can find the form and be potentially like one of the best players in the entire world. He was going through that run last year with whenever he was through European and league games, he had scored like, it was crazy. It was like 11 goals in like 13 matches or something outstanding like that. He has that height. He has the height of almost anyone. And having a player like that is huge because it matches players like you can't finish in the top 4 unless you have a player that can do that. Like Man City have with Haaland, like Liverpool have with Salah, and like Arsenal have with Saka. A player that can at any moment find the form to be one of the best players in the world. And combining him with one of the best distributors in Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League is going to be extremely, extremely successful. That's why I have them all the way up here at 3. I think Ten Hag is an outstanding manager. He's shown that so far. If Hoyland can be a top-notch goal scorer, then this team could be, I mean, like I've said with the other teams, they could be contending to win the league. Like they have that ceiling. That's where they're at. And it's their defense is one of the question marks, but I do like a lot of their defenders. Varane Martinez in the middle can be a good center back pairing.
Small boy Martinez.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Dalot and Wan-Bissaka are going to be rotating at the right back. I think Wan-Bissaka is probably the better defender. He's going to play against some of the tougher matchups. We'll see Dalot come in and play against some of the worst teams whenever they want to attack more. But I love Manchester United here at the 3 spot.
To continue on what I was saying, the reason why I asked you about their midfield, Josh, is because I actually like their midfield a lot. You know, the Mason Mount pickup is interesting to me. I want to see how we didn't get to see him a lot last year because he was hurt, so I want to see how he does in the Ten Hag system. Bruno, Zach Kidd on, but I really like Casemiro and I like Eriksen. Can't forget about the artist that is Fred, since he said that, you know, soccer is like art, so I'm calling him the artist Fred, formerly known as Fred.
Yeah.
So.
Fair enough.
I like this United team. It's a solid team, but it's also United. So I want to see how big of a head case of them and their fans turn into. Am I wrong?
Okay. So, let's just see here. Both of you have United at 3. I get it. I have them at 2, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
United's midfield. Mason Mount, I don't know if he's going to be the essential piece that United need for that midfield. I like our attacking players already. I like Bruno. I like Eriksen. Fred has his moments where he comes up into attack. I think Fred is a good rotation midfielder. I don't know if United have the players. Obviously, if Eriksen gets injured or if Bruno gets injured, Mount, great player to come in for those guys. I think the main player that United need in this window to really, push for one, which is why I'm not putting them one. I think they need another defensive midfielder, because if for some reason Casemiro is out, we saw the games that United played without Casemiro. I saw those. It pained me to watch.
Yeah.
Amrabat coming in
because he missed like 3 games from red cards, right?
Yep. So Amrabat from Fiorentina, if he comes in, I can see United pushing number 1. That's what I can see, but I don't know if Ten Hag is gonna get, all of the funding, and the Højlund move that was expensive. Maybe too expensive for that player. I do think he's going to do well.
They needed a 9 for sure.
They do. And, people doubted me trusting Haaland coming in. Obviously, Rasmus Holtman is not a Haaland player, but he's a Viking. Coming from a off league, people called the Bundesliga league easy. Haaland make the Premier League look easy.
Yeah.
Rasmus might not have the best record at Atalanta, but I'm putting my faith in the Norse. I think he's going to do well. Obviously, you have Rashford, phenomenal player, United's best player. And to touch base on what DJ said with Onana, with a change of defenders, if we're talking, West Ham get Harry Maguire, solid second place. I'm sure we've all seen that Twitter clip of Onana yelling at Maguire for making a dumb mistake.
Yeah.
Obviously, Onana's made a mistake here and there already in preseason, but it's preseason. It doesn't matter.
He's a sweeper keeper. Like, he's going to be out that far.
He is. So,
but also, let's not forget that y'all still have Dean Henderson. Like, if Onana's absolute trash, you have him. You have a great quality backup, in my opinion. He played well last year at Forest.
Onana's going to be nailed to goalkeeper. They're not going to.
Not if he sucks. If he starts playing bad, it's curtains.
I mean, he was at Ajax, I think, for at least 1 year while Ten Hag was there. Ten Hag likes the player. We talked about Pochettino being able to, develop young players. Onana's obviously not young, but Ten Hag has, the ability to, similar to Pep, bring out the best in all of his players.
Right.
We saw it again with Rashford. Rashford has gone through so many different managers. You saw his form go up and down and up and down. But last year, he was arguably the most consistent he's ever been.
For sure.
Under Ten Hag.
He looked great under Ten Hag last year. So, Man U at 2. I don't hate it. I already said my Liverpool. I had it 2. DJ, who do you have it 2?
I have Arsenal.
Ah, no way.
That's rude. I love the Declan Rice pickup. I think it's kind of what we needed in another good, solid, quality center defensive mid pairing with Partey. Hopefully one that doesn't get as many red cards as Granit Xhaka did, because God, my mental health can't take it anymore. I worry about the thing I do worry about is Gabriel Jesus' health. I've always worried about that ever since we brought him in. Even when we brought him in, I was like, okay, can he stay healthy for an entire year? He didn't, but he was still solid whenever he actually did play. He showed that he could still finish the Prem, which is important. I don't hate Eddie Nketiah, but I still worry about if he's going to be able to keep up the quality that he showed some last year, then was off and on because of Gabi coming back. I also don't think that we could. He didn't have to start at striker every game if he's having a bad time. I don't like this option because I don't want him on my team. But Kai Havertz is there. Trossard can honestly play up top too, and I wouldn't hate it either. And he's been showing he's still banging away goals in the preseason pretty consistently too. I like our defense. I think this team is in a good spot. I don't hate the Raya pickup, because if for some reason Ramsdale's starting to suck, let's go ahead and throw one of the best goalkeepers statistically in the league the last couple of years in there. And he's quality. He's solid. I'm shocked that he wanted to come to Arsenal. I don't hate it though. I mean, it's like, hey, all right, now we have 2 good keepers.
He's a great keeper.
And I don't, we've talked about it before off podcast, but I like Ramsdale. He's fine. I think he's good when he has a good, solid defense in front of him. He's not bad, but bringing in competition is never a bad thing, especially when you have high aspirations. We're back in Champions League. I think this team has got the depth to do something with it. We brought back a lot of people on loan that I think played pretty well, and on their loan stints. So I'm excited to see where this team goes. I see that if we get anything top 4, I'm happy. That's what I said last year. Even though I put us outside the top 4 in my prediction. So I see this team being a top 4 team this year with just the amount of talent that we have, especially out on the wings with Nelly and Saka.
Right. I mean, definitely some really good points there, DJ. I want to touch base on, the forward situation at Arsenal. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus, he can be, a very good striker. Obviously, he's just very injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You have Eddie Nketiah, he's just a young guy still. He has his moments, but he's not too consistent. My question for you is, do you think, or actually, I don't even know if he's still going to be playing for Arsenal or if he's on loan again somewhere else, but Balogun.
He is still on our team at the moment, but he is injured at the moment as well.
Gotcha.
From what I saw last year, he did play really well. I got to give him that in the biggest farm league ever. He banged in, 21 goals last year? Yeah, 21 goals, which is impressive in any level.
Highest amount for any American goal scorer in Ligue 1.
Indeed. So, can he carry that over? You want to talk about young guys. He's 22. He's got everything in front of him, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind if we gave him a shot if for some reason Nketiah is not doing it or not playing well. But I worry at times about our depth at the striker position and with the walking injury boot that is Gabby Jesus. So
yeah. I think
wouldn't-
Balogun is gotten some offers to be go on loans somewhere, but they have not accepted yet.
They've also gotten just straight out transfer offers too for him. So I could see that happening as well. But we will see.
Yep. I mean, Arsenal obviously a top flight team. They're, for all the reasons that you just listed, DJ, they're looking like they're coming into a team that's going to contend for winning the league once again. So 100% agree. So yeah, Manchester City at 1. All right. Bye everyone. And I'm just kidding. So it looks like we all have Manchester City at 1. No surprises there. It's really hard to put anyone else above them at the current moment. I mean, winning the Champions League. I mean, winning the treble, winning the Premier League. It's in Haaland's first season. It's looking like it's only up from here. It's hard to. I really can't make a credible argument against them not finishing first.
The only argument anybody can make is luck.
Yeah, a Haaland injury would probably do it.
I mean, I wouldn't even say if it's just a Haaland injury.
Gundogan,
maybe just a lucky deflection. Gundogan's gone.
Losing Gundogan might be an excuse.
He is a really good midfielder for them.
He is.
But I don't think they're going to struggle that much to fill his spot.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in Kovacic, who's going to rotate in there. Alvarez is going to play there some. Foden. They've got, I mean, it's Manchester City. They've got lots of players to fill in these spots. They're not void of talent.
What do we think of the Garvadio pickup?
I think it's a great pickup for Man City. Obviously, I wish he would have gone to a different team in Manchester. But, he was one of the, if not the best defenders in the Bundesliga behind maybe De Ligt last year. So it is
great acquisition.
Great pickup by Pep Guardiola.
Especially because it's looking like they're probably going to be running their same formation, the 3-2-5-1, 3-2-4-1.
Am I the only one that thinks
how many players are
overrated?
De Ligt or Guardiola?
No, am I the only one that thinks De Ligt's a little overrated? I didn't say he's good. I said he's overrated.
Maybe.
I think his time at Juventus might have been overrated. I think he is at Bayern a perfectly rated defender. At Juventus, I think he was overrated.
Okay.
Because it was a struggling Juventus team. And, part of a struggling team is a defense. You have to be a good, solid, consistent defender. And I don't know if he really showed that talent there. But, this isn't a Calcio A or Bundesliga season review or history book here.
Yeah.
I just wanted everybody's consensus. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a fair question. But yeah, I mean, Manchester City at 1. I think we all agree on that. I don't see anyone topping them right now. I would have to hear a very good argument to put anyone above them reasonably right
You
now.
have to prove it. You have to prove it to us before we say it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Haaland could break his own record this next season.
it's in the realm of possibility, which is sad.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I would not put that past him. He's an absolute robot. There's nothing stopping him. If Manchester City don't win the league, something crazy has happened.
Something terrible has happened.
Exactly. For sure.
Be great for Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. There is our top 20. 1 through 20 Premier League table. We went through every single one of them, discussed every single team. You are welcome, America. Thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and do our feelings of the week before we head out. Josh is our guest. You get to go last.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go first. I have a great feelings of the week. And we're going to clip this and make a TikTok if it actually happens. But my feeling of the week, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling. Friday. Vincent Kompany and Burnley upset Manchester City and win in their first game back in the Premier League. And they get 3 points. Manchester City gets 0 to start the league. That is my feeling of the week. You heard it here first.
Did he go into Turf Moor and lose? Is what you're saying. The fortress is Turf Moor.
I mean, if there's any day to do it, it's day 1 of the Premier League.
This is true.
Yep.
When they're high on their confidence. My feeling of the week, it's not really the feeling of a week. It's my prediction for some Premier League stats. I think that my feeling of the week is Haaland wins the Golden Boot. Most assists is Bruno Fernandes. Keeper of the year. I'm going to go with Martinez for Villa.
Okay.
And that's all. That's my feeling of the week.
All right, fair enough. I like it. Josh, as our guest, you're last.
All right. So my feeling of the week, got a lot of feelings going into this Premier League weekend. Got a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
But, similarly to what DJ is doing here, I like the shout of Martinez becoming the best, or not really becoming the best, Golden Glove winner for Premier League. I think that's a great feeling to have. He's shown his brilliance. I think, obviously the Haaland pick is, nobody can have any other feelings about that one.
Yeah. Sure.
My feeling, though, specifically to Manchester United, I think Eriksen is going to have a great season.
Oh, I like that.
I want that for him. I need that for him.
Comeback player of the year.
If any player in the Premier League deserves this, it's Eriksen.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. Christian Eriksen, comeback player of the year. You heard it here first, folks. All right. That wraps up our episode 14. Josh, thank you for joining us as our special guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. Subscribe on the YouTube Feelings Over Facts podcast. Hit us up on Instagram and TikTok for our short form content. As well as you can find us always on Spotify. From the Feelings Over Facts podcast, I am Zach Simmons. He is Daniel Jones, aka DJ. Good morning and good night.
Peace.